radio icon, and host of nationally syndicated LA Morning Show, the #1 morning show in Los Angeles, and the only one led by a woman. Please give a big welcome to Ellen Kay.
Well, what a special day it is. And as the ambassador for TCL Chinese Theaters, I feel so grateful that we can witness history together here for such a special man. And every morning I get up super early, I do a radio show, and I said, Patrick Stewart. Just like I say a lot of different, celebrity names, and the phones went crazy. There's so much love for this man. So I feel extra grateful to be here today as your host and ambassador so that we can watch Patrick Stewart be cemented in history. Not far from where we stand right now, he has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So now we get a great extra dose of Patrick Stewart. Your legacy, Mr. Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart, will live long and prosper. We know that for sure. And we have some very special guests here. A special man usually has very special friends. So today, Rick Berman is here. Also, Marina Sirtis will be speaking. And I am so honored to introduce to you a longtime friend of mine, a longtime listener, the wonderful, legendary LeVar Burton.
Good morning. It's good. It's good to see you. A few words about Patrick. Cucumber soup. When we did our very first press for Next Generation some 33, almost 34 years ago, I watched this man sit down and talk to the press, and I was so impressed. When he finished, I walked up to him and I said, "Cucumber soup. You are as cool, Patrick, as cucumber soup." And for 34 years, that's what he's been in my eyes. Generally the coolest man in the room. Whether he's having soup or not. These days, I understand he's eating a lot of soup because it's what one does when one gets old. I love this man. We are family. I think the hallmark of our time together, and I speak for other cast members who are here this morning, we really love one another. Our time together was really unique and special for all of us. And the fact that we are still family to one another to this day is a testament to just how strong and how deep those bonds are. There are not many things that I would not do for this man, should it be within my power. I love him dearly like a brother, although a brother who doesn't sound like anybody else in my family. Just a word of advice, Patrick, when it's time to put your hands and feet and signature in this block of cement, I want to advise you not to go too deep because you might run into Jimmy Hoffa down there someplace. So enjoy the ceremony. I'm certainly happy to be here, and it gives me great good pleasure to introduce probably the best-looking Londoner who's here today, I think. And my sister, the very lovely, the very, very talented Miss Marina Sirtis.
Enough of that. All that gushing. When I was taken into the production office, into the casting director's office when I was cast in the role, she showed me a picture of Patrick and said, "Aren't you excited? That's our captain." And I went, "That old English guy? Really? After Captain Kirk, you got an old bald guy?" Anyway, when we started, I got a lot of calls from my friends in England who had worked with Patrick at the RSC, Royal Shakespeare Company. And they told me that I couldn't be myself when I was doing TNG, that I had to tone it down and behave myself, because Patrick was all about the work, and he was very serious, and he took it all very seriously, which was true. Because when we started, he was so far up his own bum, it was not even funny. I am proud to say that it took about 6 months, and we beat it out of him, and now he's the silliest one of all of us, and I say that with great pride. It has been one of the blessings and honors of my life that I got to work with Sir Patrick Stewart. I didn't even know when we started how much I was going to learn from him, just watching him, working with him, seeing the greatness that's in him and hoping that some of it would rub off on me. I remember once Patrick and I having a discussion, and it might be a very common theme with actors, that one day we were going to be caught out, that people were going to find out that we were frauds. Patrick, you were never a fraud. You are probably one of the most talented people on the planet. I'm making myself cry. It has been the honor of my professional career to work with you. So I have great, great pride now in introducing the guy who kind of brought us all together, Mr. Rick Berman, our boss.
Hi. A little story. In 1986, it was during the Reagan administration, Paramount Pictures managed to convince Gene Roddenberry to create a new series based on Star Trek, which had been off the air for something like 17 years, I think. And I came aboard just about the point where they had a first draft and Gene was looking for his Captain Picard. And Bob Justman, who was a very close associate of Gene's and a wonderful mentor to me, had seen Patrick Stewart, I believe at UCLA, do something. And he went to Gene and he said, "This is our guy." And Gene went. He either saw Patrick or looked at some tape, and he agreed that Patrick was extremely talented, but in Gene's words, "I'll be damned if I'm going to hire a bald Englishman to take the place of James T. Kirk." So we were given our marching orders to keep looking. And the more we looked, the more we realized that Patrick was the only candidate that seemed to work for everybody. And Gene agreed, but he still had his bald Englishman problem. And he finally said, we'll bring him to the studio executives, but I want him to wear a toupee. So Patrick sent back to London, where his toupee was living, and it was FedExed, and I remember he put it on in my office, and we brought him down, and he read for the studio executives. And after he got done reading, they asked him to excuse himself, go into the next room, and they said to us, "This guy is perfect. He's your guy. Just one caveat, lose the wig." So we lost the wig, and that gave birth to Captain Julian Picard, who days later became Jean-Luc Picard, when, for reasons that I have no idea about, Gene decided to turn his bald English captain into a bald French captain. For me, personally, Patrick and I had a professional relationship that lasted for almost 2 decades. And it was always collaborative, and it was always very fulfilling for me. but more importantly, we've had a friendship for nearly half my life. That is something I really cherish. So to Patrick and to his amazing wife, Sunny, I congratulate them on this coveted and well-deserved honor. And now I have the privilege of introducing Sir Patrick Stewart.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, all of you, for coming. I am delighted to see so many familiar faces, even here in front of me. And I'm very grateful, excuse me, I'm very grateful to TCL Chinese Theater for offering me this astonishing award and for hosting this event. A little walk down memory lane. In 1968, the Royal Shakespeare Company came to Los Angeles. The Armandson had just been built, and we were the second production to go into that building. It was, we had brought 2 productions from the UK, and it was challenging staging those productions. But finally, we opened them, and they were successful, and we had a day off. On that day off, I think all of us only had one plan in mind, and that was to explore Hollywood, because we were classical actors from Stratford-on-Avon, and what this part of Los Angeles represented to us was a dream, a fantasy. It was make-believe. This was where all those wonderful movies came from that had inspired me as a child. There were 2 individuals in that group, and I think those 2 individuals were probably more excited and more impressed than any of the others, who feigned maybe a little bit of, English snootiness about being here in Hollywood. But the 2 actors, we looked at everything. Look at this, we would say, look at this, look at this. We looked at this building, which at one time, and probably that time, I'd only known as Grauman's, but it had been in my life since before I was 10. I devoured Hollywood magazines. Films were my escape from a somewhat uncomfortable family life. And yet here we were, just as a result of being in the Royal Shakespeare Company, standing in this location in the very heart of Hollywood. Well, the names of those 2 actors were Patrick Stewart, now Sir Patrick Stewart, and Sir Ben Kingsley. Ben and I were quite modest members of the company. We didn't have leading roles. We were playing quite small supporting roles, but we were giving it everything that we could, so much so that there was a formal complaint lodged by the leading actors of the company that Ben and Patrick were making up script that didn't belong to William Shakespeare. And we were lectured about that and behaving ourselves, but we were having fun. And this place represented excitement and fun and glamour to us. Now, Ben beat me to the Hollywood Star Walk of Fame. His name went down on the sidewalk before mine did. However, I have beaten him to this ceremony. Not that we're competitive, you understand, not at all. And it is a very emotional moment to be standing in this location in front of you and in front of my distinguished and much-loved colleagues and partners and the people who are going to be, well, are already my future from CBS. I don't know what happened that transformed those two actors in 51 years ago into the two actors that we are today, Sir Ben and Sir Patrick. And I hesitate to say I'm proud because I feel that would somehow indicate that I feel I deserve this. And I'm really not sure that I do. And maybe later on this morning, someone is going to say, no, we meant the other Patrick Stewart, not this one. But thank you. It is an extraordinary, exciting honor to be here in front of you and to accept this award, even though it does require me to get my hands and feet a little dirty. And I'm done. Yes. Actually, I'm not quite done, because the one person who laughed and was so pleased that I was going to stop speaking was the person that I am most indebted to in my life, my wife, Sunny. Phew, nearly forgot that, didn't I? That would have led to a bad day. Do I come down now? Last time I knew, I think it was before. Actually, yes, take your hand. Because it would be really unfortunate if I went face forward. Yes.
Patrick, did you look up while you signed? Look down a little bit. One more. That's drawing in.
What? Oh, yeah. Fresh.
That's right down the middle. One more to the left. Patrick, give us that. Yeah. You're right.
Okay. Thank you.
And then we're going to go ahead and press it. We're going to move the lily pad back. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I see. All right. So
now we're going to kneel back down.
Hands first.
Yes. And then I won't press down, but I'll just lay them over.
To the right, Sir Patrick.
Yeah, it's not my back, it's my neck. My head, my Thank you.
And now you can go ahead and select the flip back.
Show us your hands. Show us your hands. Yeah, there you go. Congratulations.
I
Your right side, sir. Big smile, right side, sir. Patrick, straight ahead. Patrick, straight ahead for us. Straight ahead, right here, Patrick. Right side, one time, sir. Straight ahead. Straight ahead. One more next time, Patrick.
Thank you.
I have a dry one for you as well. And then we're going to go ahead and set up for you.
Thank you, Bruce. Oh, look, you, Sonny. You see my wedding ring. There.
There, perfect. And then now go ahead and step forward with your right foot.
They're not level. Does that matter?
Yeah. All right, are you steady?
I'm steady-ish.
Okay, so I'm going to step away and then just look to them and I'll put it back.
And again, the right side, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Straight ahead, please. And right next to you, Patrick. That's Sir Patrick.
Thank you.
Sir Patrick. Thank you. Thank you. Sir Patrick up top. Great smile, great smile.
Do I step out?
Yes, now we're going to step back.
Which one first?
Go ahead with your left foot first.
I think New Balance are going to own me.
All right, and then we'll just give it a second, and then we're going to go ahead and do the date. And so that, are you okay with just moving it down?
Yeah.
So let me get this out of the way for you. And the date is 1/13/2020.
Move down, look right side one time, sir.
What's that to the right?
Sir Patrick. Mr. Patrick, one more in the middle. Thank you. Sir Patrick. Patrick to your right.
Thank you. Okay.
Right side one time, sir. Straight away. And right side, one side. To the right, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And then so now you're going to do a couple photo ops, and then after I have your wife and some of the other speakers from the pose with you.
Everyone, right side. Just to the right. And everyone. There we go. Right down the middle, please. Everyone to the right, please. And one more down the middle, please.
David.
Thank you.
David Livingston. David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Whoops. Oh, darn.
Yes, we can. You're not my wife.
No. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here this morning, and remember to watch Star Trek Picard on CBS All Access beginning on January 23rd.
Sonny?
And one Come to the right side, if you would. Good, and smile. You guys straight ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
You guys have...